of Ahl-e-hadith. Is this statement correct? And can you explain to me what are these jam'iyat and what is wrong to be a part of them? Also, another question came that is similar. Who are the scholars in India and Pakistan that you recommend taking from? As a native Urdu speaker, how can we benefit without knowing Arabic, especially our old parents or elders who cannot learn Arabic now? طيب سؤال حسن. So with the jam'iyat or these organizations of Ahlul Hadith, initially, uh, in particular the one in India, it started as a movement, more as spreading the call of Ahlul Hadith, the way of the Salaf al-Salih, and this was with the efforts of Mubarak Furi and the author of Sahib Aun al-Ma'bud, that they came and did efforts of trying to spread the call of Salafiyya and Ahlul Hadith. And then afterwards, there was a suggestion to make it like a school, a madrasa, and even as a organization. So in about 1906, the Gregorian calendar, they formed their first Jam'iyyah of Ahl al-Hadith. But that was not the original affair, that they just wanted to spread the call. But there were some who were pushing this idea. And later on, it ended up becoming like a real organization with an Amir, a person that's given the title as a ruler or a leader. And even it went further to change from what those scholars were calling to what it is now. Like if you see the affair, and they even have, and particularly the one in India, that you pledge allegiance and you even fill out a membership form. Like some of the wording, some of them have translated to Arabic from their language. That you write, I, مختار عضوية الجمعية المركزية لأهل الحديث بالهند وأعاهد وأشهد الله على أن أكون في العقيدة والمنهج والعمل على مسلك أهل الحديث. And number two, أنا أتفق مع عقيدة ودعوة الجمعية المركزية لأهل الحديث بالهند بالكلية وسأكون ملتزما بها راضيا وراغبا ومحتسبا المسؤولية عند الله. And then he goes on to, so these are like things that he has to commit to and pledge. وسأكون مطبقا تماما لنظم الجمعية المركزية لأهل الحديث بالهند ودستورها الأساسي and its constitution. So he has to agree to it, he has to bear witness, he has to make this covenant of joining it. And then also some of them, they have to have ta'a for the Amir, you have to obey the Amir. And they had like their own constitution that they would follow. And this and affected that movement to change from initially what was known to what we have now as it changed in its call. And I'll read some of the constitution of what it mentions. That you have to have موافقة, agreement to the عقيدة بجمعية أهل الحديث وأغراضه ومقاصده والعمل بمسلك السلف أهل الحديث. And then أخذ العهد بأن يعمل بنظام الجماعة الموجود في دستور مركز أهل الحديث. You have to take an oath. Some of them will even take an oath to work upon the policies of this Jama'ah in the constitution of Ahl al-Hadith. and then you have to even fill out a form and certain things that go on. There's about 7 points of the Constitution. So this is what's wrong. I mean, this is what Sheikh Mobi used to warn from, and it got carried away. It affected them because this concept of having an Amir, it the scholars have spoken about it. Like Sheikh bin Baz, when he was asked about this type of tanzim, this type of organization that has an Amir, he said, لا أعلم له أصلا شرعيا. I don't know any origin for it. And even Al-Uthaymin, rahmatullahi alayh, he mentions that we hold collectively to the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we don't be divided, and we leave off this type of imara ala ta'ifa min al-nas, that we have an Amir based upon a group. And Sheikh Mubil as well, Sheikh Ahmed Najmi as speech. So that's what you have. You find all of them, they have become like, and then later on they even began from them to become more political. It became it was a religious group. Now it's also becoming a political group too. So a lot of them are into this, and then even within them there are different people of different agendas, and there's people that are Ahl-e-hadith that are actually takfiris. They've merged with other people, and meaning if you're just against the Deobandi movement, and if you're against that general call of being a Broili, and you can join them as Ahlul Hadith, generally speaking. So it brought in the Ghuraba Jama'at. There was another extreme group, and they formed them within them, some of the members, or even some of them are quiet about them. And there's one of our fellow colleagues that was with us in Yemen. He compiled something in detail about this matter. He put something together and spoke about it, even the one Ahl-e-hadith in UK. And I put something up as well on the Toronto Dawah channel, and you can find it there. He spoke about how the origin of Ahl-e-hadith in the Jam'iyyat in UK started perhaps in 1970 as just a movement for spreading the call by a person by the name Fazl Asim. And then after that, the people made it like this how it is now. It's more like a partisan group, and this commitment and amirs, and you have to follow these affairs. And we shared all the details about that. So this is about India. Unfortunately, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to rectify the affairs. But as for Pakistan, then Sheikh Albani, rahmatullahi alayhi, he said once he was speaking about Pakistan and he was mentioning Ahlul Hadith there and the ulama. And then he mentioned, as the audio is available online, he says, the person told me, but Sheikh, these people, the Ahlul Hadith there, they're not like Salafis. They're not Salafis. And Sheikh Ali said, I was really impressed what he said, because this is what I was actually inclined to, that these people, based upon how I met them and my past experiences and what I know from them, he said a lot of them are not Salafiyun. They know the Hadith, they're inclined to it. They were going against the movement in India and different places in Pakistan against the Quranis, who were rejecting the Hadith. So he mentioned, yes, but they had a lot with them that were things that were wrong in their methodology. And he mentioned a lot of examples. He has more than one tape speaking about some of the weakness of the call there. But he gives an exception from his praises, is what he says in Silsila Sahiha in his book, Sheikh Badi ad-Din as-Sindhi. And he mentioned he's a virtuous scholar. And we know that he's not like how these people have claimed. He's different from them. He himself says in an audio, one of our brothers have translated on Toronto Dawah, he says, those Ahl al-Hadith are dead who used to sacrifice themselves for Tawheed and obeying the Messenger. He said, today we just have spectators and hypocrites in Ahl-e-hadith. He says, I say it clearly and openly. He goes, by Allah, my heart is burnt. And this is from his statements. And also, he says, another wording of his, shame on you, O Ahl-e-hadith. You have lost all of your self-esteem. And he was someone that was known to be different, even though they claimed that he was an Amir, and so he was meaning as a leader, but not as they are now as an Amir. So this is to pay attention to, and a lot of things that over there, if you're just a student of a scholar of Ahl Sunnah, by default right away they label you as well as someone to be upon the Salafi methodology. And that's not enough. And just to say this person is Salafi, why? Because he studied with Sheikh Badi ad-Din. And we found people who studied with Sheikh Muqbil, who became out Sururis. Some of them studied with Bin Baz, Al-Uthaymeen. And where are they today? So that doesn't guarantee that the person is upright manhaj just by merely attending for a scholar or ascribing to him. So the things that to pay attention to is there are some that we can mention who perhaps, as generally we can make an exception. Shaykh Albani rahmatullahi alayhi, when he's speaking about one of the ulama of Pakistan in Silsila Sahiha, he says, Al-Akh al-Fadil al-Ustad Irshad al-Haq al-Athari. I believe he's still alive now. He has a lot of books. He says the brother, virtuous professor, Irshad al-Haq al-Athari. So, yes, he's a member of Jama'at Ahl-e-hadith, but they mention generally he's a khatib, he's someone that teaches. Because the affair of a lot of the Indian scholars and the Pakistani scholars over there, many of them, they don't have that strength and clarity in manhaj as you may find in other countries. And it's lacking there. And for that reason, you find certain errors or certain things at their masjid. I myself have an experience. When I went to Dubai, I was told there's this Pakistani scholar who was a student of Sheikh Albani. So I went to his masjid and I seen the students there and I seen him and I met him. And I seen a lot of things that was very bizarre and strange to the manhaj of the Salaf manhaj. And even how the people, what they understood, what the meaning when you were asking them about Ahl-e-hadith, a lot of them were really ignorant of it. So this is something to pay attention to. There's another example of a scholar from Pakistan, Hafiz Sana'ullah al-Zahidi. He as well has knowledge memorized. But when you look, he is someone that sometimes, with Muhammad Hassan, and what they mentioned about him in the past, he was with people that, and you can find that if you look what Salafiyah they're looking at, it's that broad type of Salafiyah, which can even add people that we consider to be Sururis and Ikhwanis. So this is what's mentioned. Sorry to prolong because these are two questions in one, so we have to take this. Another scholar that they mentioned from Pakistan, Abdullah Rubri, and they mentioned about him that he was inclined into Al-Azhar and benefiting from Azhar. And this is examples. And so if you look, some of them, the current Amir of Jama'at Ahl-e-hadith of Pakistan, Sajid Mir, and sometimes he's with, you can see him in images and videos with people, sitting with them, joking with them, of people like Deobandis, he's with gatherings, all sorts of people, working with these people and this political affair and that matter. So you can see the effect. You can see the effect. And after Sheikh Ihsan Ilah al-Zahir passed away, Sajid Mir made it more political. They said right after he got assassinated in about 1987, this is, or that time when they became more political. And there's another Sheikh Abdullah Nasir Rahmani. He's the Amir. Go on the website. It titles him as the Amir of the Jam'iyyat of Ahlul Sind, the place of Sind. And they mentioned that they have other members there that are in charge of this, and different other members of their scholars. And they say that he's from the students of and taken inheritance of Sheikh Badi ad-Din Sindhi. But some things that they critique regarding him is that he goes to sometimes the people that are the Ghuraba, Jama'at, some of their places, and he praises them and speaks at their places. And they're saying he's lacking clarity in his ranks, and even with the people that are with him. Yes, he's teaching books about the Sunnah, say me and different Aqidah books. But this is not enough. We need to look into further, inshallah. But some of the Mashayikh of Kuwait were asked who are the Pakistani Mashayikh. They mention Ghulam Allah Rahmati passed away. And they mention Sheikh Abdul Salam Arastami, and he also passed away. Says these are two great Salafi scholars. And they said that we advise you, some of the Salafi Mashayikh of Kuwait said, we advise you to benefit from the son of Shamsuddin al-Afghani. He's in Peshawar, that area of Pakistan, and also the son of Jamil al-Rahman. Get information from them and to be closer to them. Because you see, they're a bit different. And this is one of the things that Sheikh Albani pointed out in one of his audios. He says, Sheikh Salim Hilali was asking him, he said, a lot of the people in Pakistan, they have differences amongst them. And if you look at the Sheikh Zubair, Ali Zai, and even with the other ones, they have a lot of differences with each other. And there's a lot of matters. And Sheikh Zubair, there was a lot of controversy that was mentioned, like in terms of some of his statements about, like what it was been given reports what he said about Sheikh Albani. And Dawud Adib first narrated that he heard from him directly, advising him not to read from the books of Silsila Sahih of Albani. And he had some harsh statements. And others reported that. And then later on, Sheikh Zubair said that Dawud Adib lied on him. And then someone else reported that he said that Sheikh Albani has irja. And so this is what they mentioned, different statements, but he's saying that one time he didn't remember, another time he said he did. And these are reports, Allah alam if these are true, and especially what's been mentioned of, like when he speaking about taking hadith, what about Albani's ruling? He says, because the person said, Sheikh Albani accepts Hasan al-Ghairi as a proof. Do you accept it? He says, no, I don't accept it. Neither do the majority of the muhaddithi. And he said, there's no proof for this. The Ahl-e-hadith don't, nor do the Deobandis and the Bareilwis. And they mention also from the controversies, like when he's speaking about the Prophet's parents, he tells you keep quiet about it, stay silent, don't say they're in the hellfire. Well, there's a hadith that's clear. And he said you're hurting the Prophet ﷺ by speaking about his parents, which is not correct. And then also there's a lot of hadith they mention about checkings that there's a lot of controversy about it and how he rules things and how he comes to certain rulings. Like we find Sheikh Muqbil and Sheikh Albani, all the other scholars perhaps authenticate the hadith, and he would declare it to be weak. So this is what's mentioned, and they generally have some controversy. And also, like A lot of times he has in his talks not to do taqleed, and he's referring to, he keeps saying the Arab scholars. The Arab scholars. But we find a lot of issues over there and in their statements and the fatwa, like Sheikh Zubair Ali, he says, when a person who is from the Broili sect or these places that are committing shirk, and he can fall into, he can be a person doing shirk and you can take his slaughter because he can be ignorant, which this is a vagueness that needs more detail. And people that are, if they're committing shirk or they're from a particular sect that is known to be upon disbelief, or anyone who believes that, and they give the ruling of the general folk, the laity are included. And there are excuses in terms of if they're ignorant, that's with the akhirah. But in terms of the how the mu'amala, we treat these people, if we know that this is the case, we don't pray behind them, we don't take their slaughter. This is the general mu'amala. So this needs more further clarity. So this topic has a lot of details with it. We're not going to go too much because there's a Jamiat Abi Bakr Islamia in Karachi. Like if you see some of how it is there and how they operate and deal with, you kind of say, this is the Salafiyya that people are referring to. And even hear some of the teachers. Like I was listening to an audio of a teacher there, and the way he was exaggerating, praising some of our students, one of the brothers we know, it was exaggeration that was not befitting. Like, you'd probably doubt to take from someone like this, who has this type of exaggeration and speaks like this. And they mention also other people. They're like Abu Abdul Majid al-Baltistani, and he's someone at a Taqwa Islamic Center. Gives, and then you look, you see all sorts of people there. It's all sorts of people that he's cooperating with. And these things need to be investigated further. What type of Salafi are people referring to over there? And so the brothers that are there, they need to look into further. And there's a lot of confusion of what is Salafi over there in Pakistan. People now, anyone that study with a particular Salafi scholar who's against the Deobandi and he's generally has ijaza or he's musnad, we call him Salafi. This is not enough. This is not enough. It's not enough. And that's why there's a lot of confusion over there. And even people that are lenient of some of the mashayikh, like Mashhur Hassan, who has been, they said himself, I went to Pakistan, India, and he says, currently there's no a'lam there. There's no people that you should travel to take knowledge from. He said, go to Mecca and Medina. And Mashhur is someone that is lenient about these topics, and he's telling you don't go. And it's fair, and he mentioned things. So let us, the brothers, understand that this needs further investigation. And there are some other scholars that we did mention that are upon, they mentioned some khair generally, but those who we pointed out here, of the people that a lot of people are promoting, you need to really consider. Because sometimes, like even Jamiat Ahl-e-hadith in India, they were at time having programs with Zakir Naik, and this is the Salafiyya that people are looking at. So we need to, inshallah, and even recently in India, Jamiat Ahl-e-hadith of India, they had an honor ceremony for Abdul Ma'ribi. The Amir of Jamiat Ahl-e-hadith of India. He had a ceremony honoring Abu Hassan Malik, one of the biggest of the people of the Sururis of today. And there was people with him, even like now, they mentioned with those people, Abdurrahman, Abdul Jabbar, and these type of other people, Asghar, Ali, Mahdi, Damir, and other individuals. So we'll stop with this amount, inshallah. And we'll take a question from one of the listeners, inshallah. Go ahead, you can unmute yourself.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa